Did you know that there's a secret water arrow? Or that this villager is literally a Greek god? Coming up are 21 unknown item facts that you won't want to miss. You can create armor that lets you swim in lava forever. With enough fire protection, it's possible for lava to deal so little damage to you that the natural healing you get from just having a full hunger bar is significantly stronger, and you can kind of just chill out down here. Although most armor takes damage from being in lava, netherite armor doesn't. So with fire protection netherite armor, the only thing stopping you from living your entire life at the bottom of a molten lake is making sure you have a steady food supply. If you want to build with suspicious sand or suspicious gravel, there isn't normally a way to get it as an item. If you mine it, it just disappears. Same thing happens if it falls, even if it lands on a torch. Well, believe it or not, there actually is a way to obtain it as an item. When you find it in the wild, just use some water and soul sand to build a bubble column beneath it. When you drop it in, it'll just bob on the surface for 30 seconds, after which it should drop as an item for you to collect. Now you have a new block to add a little bit of texture to your desert diorama. Just be sure you've checked for any good treasure before you drop this thing, because picking it up as an item completely removes whatever loot there was inside. There's actually a way to harvest stone using a wooden hoe. Let me explain. Infested stone is a block that occasionally generates underground. It just looks like a normal stone block, but when you break it, it spawns a silverfish instead. However, if you mine an infested block with a silk touch tool, it'll drop the item without creating any silverfish at all. The thing is, this can be done with any silk touch item, including shovels, axes, and hoes. So if you really want to confuse your friends, you can find a silverfish, lure it back to your base, and trap it on a stone block. Eventually, it'll infest the stone, and then you can bring one of your friends over to show them your incredible wooden hoe. It's actually possible to get an armor stand without crafting it, because there's one place where they can naturally generate in the world, and that's in a taiga village. Here, there's an outdoor armory where you can find a set of 2 armor stands wearing iron armor, and that's it. There's no other place that armor stands can spawn. Good luck trying to find these guys. Splash water bottles aren't exactly useless. They can be used to quickly extinguish blocks and mobs that are on fire in the nether. But if you combine a splash water bottle with a bottle of dragon's breath, you'll just be wasting your resources, because the resulting item is a lingering water bottle. Despite its name, it doesn't actually create a lingering cloud. Instead, it acts identically to the splash water bottle, with no extra effects. Why is this even a recipe in the game? But believe it or not, you could be even more wasteful. If you combine that lingering water bottle with 8 arrows in a crafting table, it'll give you arrows of splashing. While the other 2 items at least had some sort of unique functionality to them, the arrow of splashing doesn't. It's literally just a normal arrow that has blue particles. I mean, if nothing else, I guess it's a pretty funny collectible. Oh, and if you use a thick potion, mundane potion, or awkward potion to create a tipped arrow, it'll literally just be called tipped arrow, but it's also effectively just a normal arrow. Incredible. On the Nintendo 3DS, the Totem of Undying was way cooler. That's because you didn't actually have to hold it in order for it to activate. As long as you had it in your hotbar when you died, it would save your life. Though I guess that's probably because there's no offhand in that version of the game, so it's a bit of a trade-off. Torches can be broken instantly without any tools at all, so there's really no point in trying to use shears on them. And yet, if you do use shears on a torch, you'll lose durability for no reason at all. This happens with every instantly mineable block in the game, like spore blossoms, slime blocks, comparators, scaffolding, and TNT. What's so weird is that this isn't the case for any other tool. You can't damage your axe with redstone dust, and you can't damage your diamond pickaxe on a torch. So if you accidentally destroy your shears on a pickle after watching this, then sorry, but that's a skill issue. This seems like a really random feature, but chorus flowers can be harvested by being shot at with an arrow or a trident. Seriously. Though I guess there is a reason for this, because if you break the bottom block of a chorus plant to destroy the whole thing, the flowers won't actually drop as an item, so you can't replant it. The only other way to get the chorus flower is by pillaring up and mining it by hand, so if you don't want to go through all that hassle, it might just be easier to shoot them down. Or maybe Mojang thought it would be fun for us to play a little target practice while we're exploring the end. Speaking of chorus plants, you can actually teleport through a wall and into a 1-block tall space if you eat a chorus fruit while crawling. You'll probably never end up using this very specific mechanic during regular gameplay, but for anyone designing a Minecraft escape room, this could be a really sneaky solution for you to add in. There are 4 items in Java Edition that don't exist in Bedrock: the furnace minecart, the spectral arrow, the debug stick, and the knowledge book. 2 of those are items you can get in survival mode, so it's kind of weird that they don't exist in Bedrock, though I guess those are 2 of the more useless items in the game, so Bedrock players aren't really missing out on much. Back in 2009, you could actually eat brown and red mushrooms mushrooms. Without turning them into a stew, brown mushrooms would heal 2.5 hearts, whereas red mushrooms would actually damage you and take 1.5 hearts. Additionally, sheep and pigs would drop brown mushrooms when killed. I guess everyone liked eating mushrooms back in the day, but sadly, now it's impossible for us to eat them raw. Maybe that's a good thing for the red ones though. I've heard people say that there's only one block in the entire game that can receive enchantments, the carved pumpkin, but that's not entirely true. There are 6 more blocks that you can obtain in survival mode that are able to hold enchantments. You can go ahead and pause here to guess what they are down in the comments below. You done? Okay, all in all, you can apply the Curse of Binding and the Curse of Vanishing to a carved pumpkin, a zombie head, a skeleton skull, a creeper head, a dragon head, a wither skeleton skull, and a piglin head. So, did you get them all? When you win a raid, weaponsmith villagers can gift you iron and gold axes. But this wasn't just a random choice. It's a reference to an old story in Aesop's Fables called The Honest Woodcutter. In the story, a man loses his axe in a river, and the Greek god Hermes comes to him holding a golden axe to ask if it was the axe he had lost. The man refuses it, saying it isn't his, so he won't take it. Hermes then brings him a silver axe and asks again, but the man insists that neither of them are the axe he lost. Since the man chose not to lie, Hermes decides he has a good heart and gives him both the gold and silver axe as a gift, as well as returning the real axe that he lost in the first place. So, I guess this villager thinks he's a Greek god or something. Cool. In Bedrock Edition, it's possible to upgrade a map in an anvil. This seems kind of weird, given that there's a whole workbench made specifically for maps, the cartography table. The anvil's even missing a feature that the cartography table has. It can't lock maps. To be fair, this feature was added before the cartography table existed, and has just stuck around since then. But since anvils take damage every time they're used, it just seems like a very useless feature nowadays. When using items on a composter, you're not guaranteed that the composting level will go up every time, because every item has a random chance of either working or not. That is, every item except cake and pumpkin pie, which both have a 100% chance of creating compost. That being said, cakes and pumpkin pies are kind of expensive, and the ingredients for a stack of pumpkin pies will literally give you more bone meal than the stack of pumpkin pies itself. Instead, you should use cookies, because you can turn 2 wheat and 1 cocoa bean into 8 cookies, each with an 85% chance of creating compost. When I tested this, the stack of cookies actually created 4 times as much bone meal compared to its raw ingredients. That's an impressive improvement, but given that you have to do some crafting, I'm sure most players will agree that an automatic farm requiring no manual input is a far better choice for composting. Golden apples are the best food for taming horses. Every time you feed one to a horse, it increases your chances of taming them by 10%. They also speed up how long it takes for a baby horse to grow up by 4 minutes. So it just takes 5 golden apples to turn a baby horse into an adult instantly. Though given how expensive a golden apple is, you're probably better off just feeding your horse hay bales. They don't really help with taming, but they can speed up aging by 3 minutes and actually heal twice as many hearts than a golden apple can. It may not be the best food overall, but it's certainly the greatest bang for your buck. I mean, otherwise, you're literally feeding your horse gold. Who does he think he is, Mr. Beast? Every item in Minecraft can either create a block, create an entity, be eaten, crafted, traded, enchanted, brewed, or consumed. But believe it or not, there's a single exception to this: the clock. The only function the clock has in the game is the ability to show the time of day, which doesn't require you to hold it or click it at all. You just have to be able to see it. But honestly, some players would probably argue that even this makes it pretty useless. I mean, have you ever crafted a clock? Now, if you know a lot about the game, you might be thinking that the recovery compass is a second item that you can't do anything with. But actually, in Bedrock Edition, it can be enchanted with the Curse of Vanishing enchantment, so there is exactly one thing you can do with it. This confuses me deeply. I don't think I'll ever understand Bedrock Edition. If you liked this video, be sure to check out one of these next. With all that being said, I will see you in the next one.